Welcome back everybody, I'm Jaran Gabbe, your host, and today I'm going to react to the video called the Top 20 Best Arcade Games of All Time. Now for new updates and content you can visit the links in the description down below, and let's get started. Enjoy.
Long before the gaming world reached the massive scale it has today, it all began in those noisy, neon-lit arcade halls. With coins flying through the air and competition at its purest, those places laid the foundation of the industry we know today. In this video, we're taking a closer look at 20 of the most iconic arcade legends that shaped the DNA of gaming culture and stood the test of time. So if you're ready, insert your coin, and let's begin.
Round 2, fight!
Often considered the face of fighting games, Street Fighter II was a true revolution that defined the genre. Fighters from different countries, each with their own unique styles and special moves, became more than just characters to players. In arcades filled with the echo of Hadouken, the discovery of combo mechanics pushed competition to a whole new level. Character matchups created a layer of depth where every fight felt like a strategic battle of minds. Its peak pixel art and stages inspired by each fighter's homeland gave the game a truly unforgettable atmosphere. The moments it created, ending friendships or starting new ones, built an entire culture around it.
You win! Perfect! Boom! Up by 5!
NBA Jam turned basketball from a simple sport into the loudest battleground in arcades, an adrenaline machine where midway games threw the rules out the window. Gravity-defying dunks, aggressive defense with elbows flying, and shots that set the net on fire shattered the slower, more realistic sports games of the time. After a streak of baskets, the ball would literally catch fire, turning competition from a simple match into something personal. The commentators' rising energy with every play and those brutal finishes that left the rim in pieces made it one of the most intense expressions of the arcade spirit. Coins weren't spent just to play a match, but to become part of that endless chaos.
Gasolino! Finger rolls it in! Pippin shoots for 3! Got it! Mission 1, start!
Metal Slug, often seen as one of the most detailed peaks of pixel art, is a relentless machine of chaos in the 2D action genre. This masterpiece by SNK delivered incredible craftsmanship in every frame, from the humorous animations of enemy soldiers to massive boss battles. Unleashing chaos with the iconic heavy machine gun call and watching everything explode in a visual spectacle made it easy to lose track of your coins. Blending humor and destruction seamlessly, it became one of the most fun and challenging strongholds of cooperative gameplay. It's hard to find another example where action feels this lively and fluid.
Oh man, Pac-Man.
Pac-Man, the first true superstar of gaming, turned a maze escape into one of the brightest icons of pop culture. At a time when arcades were dominated by shooting games, it introduced character and strategy, proving how deep a simple maze could become. Each of the 4 ghosts had its own distinct behavior, testing players not just with speed, but with logic. The yellow hero, inspired by a slice-missing pizza, flipped the balance of power the moment he ate a power pellet, turning from prey into hunter. That constant feeling of being trapped and the risks taken while chasing fruits made Pac-Man a timeless example of brilliant design.
I remember playing this so much. Oh, Mortal Kombat 2.
Building on the chaos of its predecessor with a darker and more brutal tone, Mortal Kombat 2 pushed the fighting genre to new heights. Its digitized characters felt strikingly real for the time, both impressive and unsettling. With expanded fatalities, the series' signature finishing moves, and a roster filled with hidden fighters, it kept a constant sense of mystery alive in arcades. Every hit carried weight, and the improved character balance turned each fight into a strategic battle. Brutal boss encounters pushed players to their limits and demanded precision and mastery. It was relentless, violent, and unforgettable, leaving a lasting mark on the history of fighting games. The story of a carpenter trying to rescue a princess kidnapped by a giant ape marked Nintendo's first step toward changing the world. Donkey Kong laid the foundation of the platforming genre, focusing not just on overcoming obstacles, but on being part of a story. Jumping over rolling barrels and grabbing a hammer to clear your path felt incredibly exciting, even with the limited processing power of the time. Back then, when Mario was still known as Jumpman, moving through a vertical level was a fresh and unusual idea for arcades. Getting the timing right while climbing each stage required patience and precision. A simple gameplay loop became immortal through this legendary adventure. Taking the formula of Space Invaders and refining it to perfection, Galaga became one of the defining games of the fixed shooter genre. Instead of static rows, enemies swept across the screen in smooth, diving patterns, creating a rhythm that kept players constantly on edge. Its most iconic mechanic, the enemy tractor beam, could capture your ship. But losing your fighter wasn't always a bad thing. If you managed to take it back, you could form a dual fighter unit and double your firepower. The catch was becoming a bigger, easier target. This risk and reward system turned a simple shooter into a more strategic experience, where quick thinking mattered just as much as reflexes. With its smooth animations and satisfying impact, it earned the respect of every coin spent in the arcade. Dig Dug, the classic that took arcades by storm in 1982, stood out as one of the most original games of its kind with its idea of digging underground and inflating enemies with a pump until they burst. It was more than just digging. Dropping rocks at the right moment to create combos added a layer of strategy. The iconic rhythmic sound that played as you moved, along with the sneaky pursuit of the pukas, kept players constantly in motion. Avoiding the fire of the dragon Fygar while inflating enemies at the same time turned every moment into a test of timing. Beneath its simple visuals lay a surprising tactical depth, turning every coin into an underground adventure and making it one of the most cheerful yet unforgiving games in arcade history.
What?
The Simpsons arcade game combined the wild atmosphere of The Simpsons with four-player cooperation, becoming the most colorful corner of arcade halls. Chasing after Maggie, who had been kidnapped by Smithers, with each family member using their own unique weapon, created a true symphony of chaos. The ability for characters to combine and perform joint attacks was a brilliant mechanic that encouraged teamwork. Animations that stayed faithful to the spirit of the show, along with its signature humor, made it feel like you were inside an episode. From small background details to the variety of enemies, everything was carefully designed to keep players immersed in that world. Even in the most intense moments, with coins flying everywhere, it never compromised on visual quality, making it one of the most successful examples of its genre.
I'm not very fond of The Simpsons.
With its bright blue skies, that unforgettable looping soundtrack, and the raw force you feel with every turn of the wheel, Daytona USA wasn't just a game. It was pure speed brought to life. Powered by Sega's cutting-edge technology, its visuals delivered an experience that felt years ahead of its time. Sliding through sharp corners and battling side by side with rival cars, every race was a surge of adrenaline. And in multiplayer, going head-to-head with a friend right next to you turned the arcade into a chaotic and unforgettable arena. The track design and the weight of the cars struck a perfect balance, making every moment feel just real enough to pull you in. It wasn't just racing, it was a celebration of speed, captured in its purest arcade form. Outrun wasn't just a race, it was a lifestyle cruising toward the sunset in a convertible Ferrari Testarossa. Shaped by the vision of Yu Suzuki, this classic made the player feel not like a racer, but like a traveler behind the wheel. Choosing your own route at each fork in the road while listening to its iconic soundtrack gave a powerful sense of freedom for its time. The way the machine responded through every corner and the feeling of gliding along with your passenger captured some of the most aesthetic moments in arcade history. It wasn't about pure speed, but about atmosphere and enjoying that iconic Sega blue sky. Frogger, released to arcades by Konami in 1981, made the struggle for survival in the middle of the highway and the river felt in its simplest form. This classic, which turned a simple act like crossing to the other side into a nerve battle with split-second timing, turned slipping through the pixels into a test of reflexes. Fast-moving cars and waters where crocodiles roamed reduced the margin for error almost to zero. The structure, focusing on the mastery of jumping in the right direction instead of complex controls, created a wave of adrenaline that increased with every move. This struggle, as one of the clearest examples of how engaging simplicity can be, was engraved in memory with its rhythmic sounds and colorful world. The effort of a simple frog to reach its home went down in history as one of the most unforgettable reflex tests of arcade history.
This is a pretty good song, eh?
In arcade halls, that dynamic space where not only hands but the whole body spoke entered our lives with Dance Dance Revolution. This machine, which proved that a game does not consist only of standing in front of a screen, started a real performance art in front of the cabinets. Following the arrows in accordance with the rhythm required both speed and great endurance. Accompanied by J-pop melodies, players almost dancing on the pads turned the arcades into a club atmosphere. This rhythm-focused system, blending physical effort with entertainment, carried competition to a completely different dimension by creating a social interaction space. Every second that pushed the limits of coordination was combining with the satisfaction given by every correctly pressed step. Powered by Sega's Model 3 hardware, Star Wars Trilogy Arcade brought the epic atmosphere of a galaxy far, far away into the heart of arcade halls. Stepping into the cockpit and flying through the narrow trenches of the Death Star, or battling AT-ATs across the snowy plains of Hoth, was one of the greatest technological showcases of its time. Precise joystick aiming and the cinematic flow of lightsaber duels placed players directly in the role of the hero. The incredible level of graphical detail for its era allowed players to relive iconic moments from the films firsthand. With sound effects and legendary music echoing through the cabinet, it created an immersive depth that made everything else fade away. It stands as one of the most impressive representations of the Star Wars universe.
Tekken.
Tekken 3, The biggest revolution in the transition of fighting games into a 3D plane was the peak of technical excellence in arcades. The ability for characters to move not only forward and backward but also sideways completely changed fighting strategies. The fluid movements and realistic martial arts techniques of iconic fighters like Jin, Hwoarang, and Eddie turned every match into a choreographed fight. The clarity of its graphics and the quality of its animations set a standard far beyond its time. The satisfaction of pulling off combos and the endless tournaments among friends made it the undisputed ruler of arcades in the late 90s. Turtles in Time, where Konami wrote the book on four-player chaos, was the greatest source of motivation for groups of friends in arcade halls. In this adventure, where the turtles traveled through time, the unique atmosphere of each era brought remarkable variety. The mechanic of throwing enemies out of the screen was both funny and technically fascinating. Fluid animations, a vibrant color palette, and music that felt straight out of the cartoon turned every second into a celebration. The excitement of the boss fights and the friendly competition to grab slices of pizza represented the purest form of co-op gaming. The characters' different weapon ranges and speeds made real teamwork essential. It was a non-stop monster of momentum. Refining the frenzy of the original, Ms. Pac-Man showed how a great sequel should be done. With maze layouts that changed across levels, it broke memorized patterns and forced players to rely on raw reflexes. The ghosts became more unpredictable, while moving fruits replaced static targets, raising the tension of the chase. Its vibrant colors and charming intermissions gave the game a strong personality, helping it become a global phenomenon. Precise movement in tight corridors and split-second decisions became the ultimate test for high-score chasers. It remains an essential and timeless icon of the golden age of arcades. In the sharp and dark world of vector graphics, Asteroids taught everyone how difficult it can be to maintain control. While breaking apart the rocks coming from every side of the screen, your biggest opponent was actually your own speed and the ship's unstoppable sense of inertia. As you drifted through space, a full survival test began when this motion combined with the chaos created by asteroids splitting apart as you fired. The moment you got trapped, there was no choice but to press the hyperspace button and rely on luck. Those deep firing sounds echoing through the arcades were etched into memory as they met the geometric lines on the black screen. Its placing of the rules of physics at the center in such a simple way set it apart from other works of its time and made it immortal. How such a simple mechanic could require this much stress and focus was hidden in this universe. Pong, the first spark of digital entertainment and the founding father of an entire industry, proved that even the simplest mechanics can change the world. Made up of just two vertical lines and a square, this basic tennis simulation became the first phenomenon to turn arcades into social gathering spaces. The mechanical sound of that pixel moving from one side of the screen to the other felt like the first heartbeat of modern gaming culture. Despite having no graphical detail, the pure competition between players and the mastery of timing laid the foundation for a billion-dollar industry on a simple black screen. It wasn't just a game, it was the first concrete step of the digital revolution.
Oh man, I remember this.
Often seen as the beginning of arcade history, Space Invaders became the spark that ignited an entire industry. The steady rhythm of descending aliens sped up as they got closer, syncing perfectly with the player's rising heartbeat. Hiding behind bunkers and timing each shot created a tense mix of strategy and panic. That growing pressure as enemies moved downward became the foundation of the modern difficulty curve. Simple alien shapes against a black background made you feel like the last line of defense for the galaxy. It even caused a coin shortage in Japan, proving just how powerful its impact was. This was where the DNA of gaming culture began. And that was our list of the best arcade games of all time. From simple pixels to unforgettable legends, these games defined an entire era. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.
Scorpion wins. Fatality.
So that was the top 20 best arcade games of all time. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I was so glad to see Street Fighter 2, Mortal Kombat 2, Donkey Kong, NBA Jam, and Space Invaders among the titles. Some of the other titles I don't recognize, but you know, it is what it is. I enjoyed this video so much, and it is a fantastic list. I know we don't have the time and energy anymore to play video games, and we have much more responsibilities to attend to, but we can look back at our youth and say what a ride it was. I so wish that I could go back to my youth and relive every single moment of it. And a word of wisdom for today. Enjoy the finer things in life as much as you can. Have a blessed day further, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.